Alrighty guys, it is getting close to St. Patrick's Day and I thought we'd do a fun kind of Irish inspired art, Celtic inspired art, and so we are going to make Celtic knots. And so Celtic knots are really cool, beautiful patterns here. We'll bring them up. I'm sure you guys have seen them before. You'll see Celtic knots in all kinds of cool designs from religious icons to tattoos and everything in between. You'll see these designs everywhere. And so you'll kind of recognize some of these, I'm sure, once you see them. There's all different kinds of beautiful, beautiful patterns. And like these go way, way back as far as, you know, being carved in stone and things like that. And they're used a lot in a lot of modern art as well. So there's all different kinds of them. They can be shaded, they can be embellished and made really, really cool. So we're going to learn the basics of how to do a basic Celtic knot. Okay, once you learn how to do this, you can kind of branch out this method and you can get more and more and more complicated and make some really, really fancy designs. But you have to learn this method first to kind of be able to do it. So this is not freestyle. This is a grid work based to design, and it kind of like has a formula to how to do it, which is nice. So if you're working on paper, that's fine, but you're going to want a straight edge, and we're going to make a little grid for ourselves, okay? And that grid, should I keep working in pink? I had pink on there. Sure, I'll keep working in pink. That grid is going to have, I'm going to turn this part off later anyway, so if you're working in pencil, you're actually going to erase this part. So anything that I'm drawing in pink right now, you know you're going to erase later on, and it is going to need to be drawn really, really lightly. So you want to try and, you know, make this fairly even, and what we want to do is we want to make some squares for ourselves, and we want to make them two rows going up and down. Okay, try and keep them as square as possible. It doesn't have to be perfect, but about right. You can see I'm not measuring mine, so now I've got 1, 2 up and down, and I want 3 across. 1, 2, 3. So I need to get my lines here just a little bit more. Okay, there's 2. And there's 3. So now I'm done with that. I'm going to erase these extra parts just so that they won't confuse you guys. So this is what we're going for our grid work, okay? 3 across and 2 up and down. Or it could be 2 up, 2 this way and 3 that way, but for right now, stay with me, do this the same as me, because otherwise you're going to get confused when you're first learning. So now that I've got this, now I want to put some circles on all these places where my lines intersect except for my corners. Okay, so these circles, the bigger, you know, I can vary them in size, but make them about like this for the first time that you're doing this. About like this. These are going to be like kind of our spaces in between. So we're going to put them on all these places where these lines intersect, except for those outer corners. So not here, not here, but we're going to put them even on the edges everywhere else. Okay, not here and not here. Okay, so once we have the ones on the corners, now we're going to go and put one in the middle of every box. One here. So just right in the middle of every box. And if you guys didn't realize this, we're making a polka dot pattern basically. So these are kind of like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like a 5 on a dice. That's how we're doing them. But they're also making these little diamonds, and the little diamonds is what we're going to be using. So when you see them, 1, 2, 3, 4 like that, that's what we're looking at as a pair or as a set. And so we're going to be working on the diagonal. So if you don't remember what a diagonal line is, it's a line that goes this way or this way. This is not a diagonal line, and this is not a diagonal line. Okay, so that way or that way. And now, what I want you guys to think of these little circles as are wheels on a skateboard. Okay, because this, I'll tell you, is where kids go wrong when I try to teach them this. We're going to be connecting these, but when we connect, say if I have two circles like this, and we're going to connect them, I could connect them here. Do you see how I'm on the side of it? It looks like a little upside down skateboard, kind of. Or if I was connecting, I might be connecting on this side of it. See, it looks like a little skateboard going downhill now. And like that little skateboard. Just make it narrow. It's zooming on down there. See how it's like a skateboard? So, but I'm on the edge of it like this. I am never connecting in the middle. If you connect in the middle, which is what kids want to do, because we always usually connect dots in the middle, so it's just natural, I know, but we are not, let me repeat again, we are not connecting in the middle like this. No, 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 no. So get that in your head, get that in your head right now. That is not the way to do it. It will mess you up. Okay, so not in the middle, but yes, on the edges here or here would be the way that we would connect them. Okay, so now it doesn't really matter where you start, but I'm just going to start in the very center just for the sake of starting somewhere, and I'm going to connect. And if I connect this little skateboard going this way, you see how I'm on the edge, so it's like an upside down skateboard here, then I've got to look at this. So I've got like this diamond, right? And if I connect this little skateboard on this side, then I have to do these ones on the opposite side. So it's parallel to this line, but it's right here on this side. So where it's not here, it's here. Okay, so it's like we're making a skateboard sandwich, like the two skateboards will face each other. So if I had a skateboard here, let me even draw my little wheels. And here's my one skateboard, right? And here's my other skateboard with the wheels this way. Then I could put like, I don't know, I could put like a burger in here. I could put like lettuce. I could put cheese, whatever, tomato, and all that. You get that. So it's like a skateboard sandwich. So on this one, the wheels are on top. On this one, the wheels are on bottom. See how that is? Wheels on top, wheels on bottom, so that the skateboard deck or the board part of the skateboard faces each other. That's super, super, super important. So for every diamond where we have 4 circles and we're going to connect them, we're only going to draw the 2 lines, okay? And they're going to be going in different directions each time, but they will always be facing each other like this, like a skateboard sandwich, okay? So they could either, whoops, I accidentally drew there, so see, a skateboard, they could either be like this, which is what we drew there, or they could be going this way. And it's always going to be, they're facing each other like a skateboard sandwich, okay? So now that we know that, that's this super important rule to kind of have in your head. Now that we know that, I'm actually going to go back here, all the way back, because I'm going to do this on a different layer. Okay. So I'm going to start drawing in black so that it kind of, so this is the part where we're not really going to be erasing it, but you still might want to draw light and then go over it later to kind of be able to clean up your lines a little bit. So again, I'm going to start making myself a skateboard sandwich by connecting. Look, I go right past the circle, okay? Just right to the end, like I could almost just go right around it like a corner. Okay, so I go from one side and the other side. So again, skateboard sandwich. Okay, now that I've got that skateboard sandwich, I'm going to go to the next set of diamonds or circles that make a diamond. Okay, and it doesn't matter. I could go to these ones. I could go to these ones. I could go to these ones, or I could go to these ones, but It just needs to be ones that are touching the ones that I've already done. So say I did this one, so I'm going to go to these ones. Doesn't matter. You, like I said, whichever ones you want to go to, that's fine, so long as they're right there touching the ones you've got. So now I'm making a new skateboard sandwich, but when it touches this one, it has to go the opposite way. So if these are going this way, these ones have to go this way. Okay, so it's like an X, kind of, but the inside. Okay, so I'm on the inside of the diamond making a skateboard sandwich. And do you see how this, it looks like a ribbon that's going to go under that one? Okay, so if it did, see again here, this one's going this way. So if I did this one, it would be going that way, right? It has to go a different direction. So it would be going that way. And now you can start to see how this goes beneath that. Okay? Now, this one's going this way, so now I go to the next one that's like near it, which is here. And I'm going to make me another skateboard sandwich. This one just cuts right across there and here. Both of these, decks on the skateboard are facing each other. Like they can make a sandwich. They're on the inside always. Okay? So I've got that one. Now I did this one. This one's going this way for these 4 diamonds. What about these 4 diamonds? Can it go this way? No, it can't because this one's going that way. So this one has to go this way. Okay. And you can start to see how it's going to look cool. So we've got this one's going this way, this one's going this way. We know this one would be going this way if there was another circle, but we don't have another circle there yet, so we're going to skip that right now. Let's do the ones that we actually have. So we've got a set of 4 diamonds or 4 circles that make a diamond here. This one's going this way, so this one has to go this way. Okay, and here's my last set of 4 diamonds that I have to fill in. And I know right next to it, this one's going this way. So this one has to go this way. And you might start to notice now that those circles make the gaps in between the bands of stuff. And so now once we have this is where you have to kind of do some thinking, okay? So how do I finish this? I don't have a whole diamond here, and I don't want just an endless thing without edges. I want my edges to come together eventually. So you kind of have to look at this like these are ribbons or whatever. So if this ribbon's going here, where would it go? It would come around because they're going to turn at the edges, and it would go under this one and become this one. So we're just going to curve it around that circle now. See how it would go there? So on the outside, I can just curve this around. And you might go, oh, well, it got a little too skinny there or whatever, so you might, adjust it. It's okay for it to stick out. And I'll show you in a second. You can kind of do some fancy things with that as well. We'll make this one simple. But do you see now how this one goes under here and it comes out here? It's like a weaving. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing with the bottom one. This one is going this way. It's going to curve around and become that one. So we're going to just curve around the circle there. And we're going to curve around here. And just, on these corners or whatever, on the edges, just pay attention to like the thickness here. Does it look right? Don't let it get too skinny. You might have to stick out a little bit. Okay, so now we're starting to get something that looks woven. But what about these corners? So this one curves around, and you can just look at like what circles by it. Where does the circle guide me? It curves around the circle. So if it curves around the circle, where's it going to go? It's going to go under there and become that one. So I could just curve this as well. Okay, but here's where I'm going to show you how you can get fancy and make it look a little cooler if you want. So we can square off our corners to just give them a point to make them look fancy. Okay, and that's sometimes you'll see that done a lot in Celtic design. I mean, you could make them even fancier than that if you want. Like you could shape them however you want. Get fancy with it. So this one, you know, I could just come around here like this if I wanted to, but I'm gonna make it kind of fancy. So I'm gonna go with this kind of squared off corners. There we go. Starting to look pretty cool. And then the same thing with this one. Where does this one go? Okay, the inside one's gonna swing around the circle, okay? So that tells us where it goes. Now, if this is guiding us, then we know this has to follow. So then we're gonna square off our corners and stick them right under there, okay? And then we've got this one. So we've got our circle right here that we're just gonna swing right around near, like do a U-turn, okay? And you might notice, well, I'll show you guys in a minute, but this, if I drew it, it's not lining up quite correctly. So I'll show you in just a second how we're gonna kind of edit and fix it and make it good. But first, we'll get this one finished, okay? And there we go. We have our Celtic knot. So I know it seems kind of complicated, but I know you guys can do this. It just takes some patience with yourself and some practice. Remember that skateboard thing. If you're having problems, make sure you understand the skateboard thing, okay? Because if you don't understand this, then you're gonna have a lot of trouble, okay? So definitely know that your which side of the circle you have to be on when you connect those things, okay? Now, to go to the next level, we've drawn this, but it could use some cleaning up. So the first thing I noticed is, like, if I was really just drawing through, this would like connect there. It doesn't, it's like it goes over, and so that's not quite right. So I would come in here and clean this up. Like, I would go, okay, if this comes through here, where does it hit here? So especially when you're just drawing your circles by hand and stuff like that, it's really easy to, you know, get them off. And then like this one too, like this one comes more almost over here. So those circles are there to give us the holes in our design and room for the weave. So I could adjust here or I could adjust there. And I feel like on this one, like this just got a little wide. And so I feel like I would want to adjust that to make my design look nicer. So if I was really paying attention, where does this come through? You know, then I'm going to get something more like that. That's going to look better. And then I can just, okay. So I would check all these. Does this line up? Yeah. Does this one line up? Not really. Look, this would be more in. Okay. And then I kind of erase a bit of that. Does that line up? Yeah, that looks pretty good. Does this line up? That's not too bad. I would just make this one come this way just a little bit. Like, I really need to make this eraser a bit smaller for this. Okay, try to fix that again. Now that lines up, and you can just, you know, track the thing all the way around to both sides line up. All right. Does it look like it bulges weird or it looks weird in thickness anywhere? Like, I would say it looks too skinny up here. So like I would fix this, like, you know. Okay. And you would just track around and say, like, okay, for me it bulges right here. I don't like that. I feel like this is too wide right here. You know, and it depends. Like, you could have more variance in thickness, you know, or you could have less. Like, this looks too skinny over here, so I would make this like that. And you're just adjusting, you know, to really make your design as nice as you can. Okay. So once you've done all that, once you feel like, okay, everything tracks, everything lines up, everything's good, once you feel happy with that, then if you want to, you can shade and decorate it. But the first thing you would do is you would go back. Okay, so obviously, well, actually, if you have marker at this point, once you've adjusted everything and you're happy with it, outline all these lines, okay? Not those ones, but all those ones in marker so that the weaving part is not erasable. So you would go over it in marker or in pen or something. Then the part that you drew lightly in pencil, you know, it's easy to go back with that now and go, okay, I'm gonna just erase all the grid, and that part is in marker, so it's not gonna get erased now. This part's good, okay? So now you have your design in marker. I would spend more time cleaning this up, probably. But I just want to show you guys kind of the next step. And so the next step would be, do you want to shade it? Do you want to add designs? And if you've gotten this far, you can turn this in, and that's fine for the assignment. But I know there are always a few of you guys at least that want to take everything to the next level, which is awesome. So proud of you guys for working so hard on your art. And if you want to take this to the next level, you know, if you're one of those people that's like, no, what can I do? How can I make it cooler? What's next? What more? Then the next thing to do is shade and decorate. So I'm just going to show you guys a couple of options, but I'm just adjusting things just a little bit here still to try and get this to my liking so that it looks right. Oh, I just put that a little too far that way. Okay, so once you have this now, you can come in and do like any number of things. So I'm going to just put my line drag tool on so I can get a smoother line. Oh, I didn't want to do that. Okay. One thing you can do is you can like double your edges. Okay. Actually, before we do that, here, let me show you. We'll color in all these parts that are the holes or whatever, so that it will look, oh, I have my line drag tool on. Let me turn that off. So before we do anything else here, we'll color this in. So this kind of adds depth in the first place. So you can absolutely color in all of these bits. Okay, and then once you have those colored in, you know, now you're ready to start with the really decorating stuff. So if you're working in Sketchbook, layers are great because that way if I mess up, I'm not gonna have to erase the things I don't want to erase. So now I'm gonna go to my drag tool to kind of help with that. Another thing that you guys could use is your predictive stroke, which if you get wiggly lines, it smooths them out for you. So like if my line gets kind of jaggedy, it's gonna smooth it, which is nice. So maybe I'll just use that one. And I'm gonna follow the edge here. I'm just gonna do, actually that didn't smooth it out for me very well. I'm gonna use the drag tool. You know what, I'm gonna make my brush smaller so that I have a finer line here. And I'm gonna drag along the edge here. And I'm just creating a border. And so, I mean, there's so many different things you can do. You wanna try to stay the same thickness away from the edge, which is really hard to do in Sketchbook. As you can notice, this is a lot thicker of an edge there. So ideally I would not have that. Ideally I would, you know, be able to keep it more consistent. I'm just gonna go along and drag. Uh-oh, I skipped part somehow. I don't know how I skipped part. Okay, let's undo that whole part there. Try again. So that, you know, like again, trying to stay with the line that you already have in Sketchbook is so hard. You guys know that, right? You guys use Sketchbook. You're probably better at it than me. And I'm just gonna, you guys notice I'm just following this ribbon around basically. And I'm trying to stay close to the edge. It's not perfect, but you know, take your time if you really want to make something special. Take your time with this and make it as good as you can. Trying to like turn around a corner here in Sketchbook and keep it smooth. It's not easy, but that could use some help there, but you know, that's the kind of thing you could spend a lot of time trying to get it just right. Again, this, like that one's not very good. I'll try one more time, but if I mess it up, unless I mess it up really bad, I'm just gonna go with it. Try and keep it an even distance. All right, and I'm just following around. Okay, so I did one side of that ribbon now. I'm gonna go around and do the other side of the ribbon just to make it look cool. And it doesn't matter where you start, just start. And, you know, this is a lot easier on paper, obviously, to keep an even distance from your edge. All right, so now, you know, once you have that, you know, that's just one option. You don't have to do it like this. You could do whatever, you know, you could do patterns on here. You could do all kinds of stuff. I'm gonna add another layer here, and I'm gonna get my airbrush and maybe do some shading, or you could do pencil shading or cross hatching or whatever else you want. And if you're gonna do shading, the place to shade is where it's going under. So like, imagine like these are little highways and you're going under the underpass, that's where shadow is, right? So if you're gonna add some shadow going out this way and some shadow going out that way. Okay, so anywhere where it goes under, you just go from that edge and go out. To give it that depth. What else can you do? You could add color. You could add like so many different things. If you guys want ideas, just, you know, look online. There's so many Celtic knot designs, and the ones that are shaded especially look super cool. But, you know, you guys can embellish and add whatever you want to them to make them your own. So again, just look for the little underpasses wherever you go under the highway. And you're gonna go like so. This is really quick shading. It's pretty scribbly. I could do a better job of this, I'm sure, but just for the sake of showing you guys. And did I get all where it crosses under? Nope, here. Sometimes people will color them and then add shine on the high parts. Like, so, I mean, even like if I extend this, it'll actually look like there's shine up there. Here, see wherever the top of the overpass is, that's where you'd get your shine. So, you know, you can make your lines coming together here. The other thing, you know, you can, if you're using Sketchbook, you can use your eraser on these parts to really make sure you didn't accidentally shade on the upper parts where you don't want to. And there are blend tools as well, you know, so just those edges. And I might, you know, I might actually want some of that shadow to go up onto there, but I don't want it to be just on the edges like here or here, because that's just shading overlap from there. So if you need to, you know, get a blend tool, any kind of brush that has the black, and then the white for the brush is gonna give you a blend. You're gonna wanna make it the right size, and it'll help kind of smooth out those ends. If you're doing this with pencil, you know, just remember back to our shading lesson. Use your finger to smear it out. Okay, so now we're starting to get that kind of 3D look there. I would still like go in here and I would keep this area as bright as possible, because this is like, especially in the center, is really the high point, but that needs to blend out a bit. So I'm just gonna see if I can get these edges, because I don't want a hard edge there, but I want to keep the nice brightness in the middle, because that's where the light would be shining. What else? Add your layers, you know, or add your colors. So if you're working in Sketchbook, you know, you can go right underneath all of these things and add color in there. So St. Patty's Day coming up next week. And so, whoops, that would help if I had an actual brush, right? So let's see, what did I have before? Oh, no, I have an eraser on there. All right, so whatever brush you like. I use this brush a lot. You know, so when I color this, everything's going to be affected by the shadow I already put on there, which was black. And if you're thinking ahead, you know, instead of going in random order like I am right now, you know, like, oh, you could add color. But if you already know that you want to add color when you start, you might consider like how that shadow is going to be. Maybe it's not going to be black. Maybe you'll use purple for your shadow, which is a great shadow color, but maybe it's going to be a darker version of the color that you're using already. Okay, so that's possible as well. You'll still, I mean, black is still fine so long as that layer is above. I can take this up in color. Oh, like that. And, you know, get that airbrush again if I want, and add some shine on there in places. The high spots, like where would it be the highest? You know, I can just up my color to do that if I want. Or just places that you want to embellish. Maybe, you know, this is a different color here. Because you can do whatever you want with that, color-wise, texture-wise, you know, all of this you can decide. I don't actually like this yellow, like I was thinking like gold. Finding gold digitally is hard, but it's kind of this weird color like this. So that would look more like a gold if I wanted gold on here. And, you know, this is still a really rough drawing if you're looking at mine. Like if I was really doing this, I would clean it up a lot more before I'd call it finished. But you guys get the idea. You could do whatever you want. You could do it, you know, whatever colors you like, shading. You can design things like your edges like this. You can do textures. Like actually, you know, there's two different sides of the ribbon. Maybe one side's gold and the other side's, I don't know, blue. You decide. You know, there's just so many different things that you could do with this to make it however you want it to be. You can do a background for yourself. And then the other, you know, another great thing is just adding texture. So, you know, maybe I want to add textures like, well, that's probably a little large brush size for this, but okay. So maybe there's like textures in the threads of my ribbon, and that's really not showing up too great in that color here. Let me try and go to like this gold and see if I can make some gold threads come out maybe. And this can take like a lot, there we go, you know, and start to get those. You can do cross hatching, stuff like that to kind of show textures. Maybe I'll go just a little bit higher or bigger, or maybe just zoom in so you guys can see it better. But yeah, so you can get your textures in there with cross hatching, with your texture tools, with whatever you want. Okay, so you don't have to have texture, but it's like another option. So these designs can come out super, super cool. And I'm going to leave it at that and leave you guys to do whatever you want with your designs and make them as cool as you want. Have fun.